Jake Turner had lived alone for so long that silence felt like a companion. His cabin sat on the far edge of New Mexico territory, where the desert met the pine hills, where nights were cold enough to freeze a man's breath and lonely enough to make him question why he still stayed. That night was colder than usual. The wind howled against the wooden boards, rattling the windows like a restless spirit searching for warmth. Jake sat by the fire, sharpening his old hunting knife, when a sound cut through the storm, sharp, sudden, impossible. A knock. He froze. No one ever came here. Not at midnight, not in winter, not in this part of the wilderness. The knock came again, firmer this time, as if the person on the other side wasn't just asking, they were needing. Jake stood, grabbed his lantern, and stepped toward the door cautiously. His hand hovered over the handle for a second, his instincts shouting warnings. Bandits roamed the edges of the desert. Desperate settlers sometimes turned violent, and once in a while, coyotes or wolves slammed into doors looking for food. But something in that knock felt different, purposeful. He unlatched the door and swung it open. A gust of freezing wind rushed inside, blowing out part of the fire, but Jake didn't feel the cold. His eyes were locked on the figure standing before him. A woman. Tall, strong-built, wrapped in a thick woolen blanket that fluttered in the wind. Her long black hair clung to her face, wet with melting snowflakes. Her skin, bronze like sun-warmed earth, gleamed in the lantern light, and her eyes, dark, deep, unblinking, met his with a mixture of urgency and resolve. She wasn't lost, she wasn't frightened, she wasn't confused. She had come here by choice. Jake opened his mouth to speak, but the woman beat him to it. Her voice was steady, but her breath shook from the cold. "Cowboy," she whispered, her English accented but clear, "I need your help." Jake's grip tightened on the lantern. "Ma'am, are you hurt? Should I get you warm? Are others with you?" She took one step forward, snow crunching softly under her feet. "No, I came alone." Jake noticed something then, something he'd overlooked in his shock. She was Apache. Her clothing, her facial tattoos, her presence, it was unmistakable. And coming alone to a white man's cabin in the middle of winter was not just unusual, it was dangerous. Before he could ask why she came, she straightened her shoulders. As the wind whipped around them, she spoke the words that struck him harder than any bullet could. "I want to give birth to a white baby," she said, looking him directly in the eyes. "Your baby." Jake stood frozen, lantern trembling in his hand. He had heard many strange things in his life, but nothing like this. The woman didn't lower her gaze. She didn't hesitate, she didn't plead. She stated it with the calm certainty of a warrior who'd already decided her fate. And somehow decided his too. For a long moment, Jake Turner couldn't speak. The words she had said still echoed in the cold air between them. The lantern flame flickered weakly, struggling against the wind, much like his thoughts struggling to understand what was happening. Finally, instinct took over. "You're freezing," he muttered, stepping aside. "Come inside before you freeze to death." The Apache woman hesitated only a heartbeat, then entered his cabin. Jake shut the door quickly, locking out the biting wind. The fire cast warm, glowing light across the room, softening her sharp features. She lowered her hood and Jake saw her fully, strong jawline, proud cheekbones, and eyes full of something deeper than desperation. She wasn't afraid, she wasn't ashamed. She was determined. Jake set the lantern on the table. "Sit by the fire, warm up, then you can tell me what this is all about." The woman walked closer to the fire, lifting her hands toward the heat. When she finally spoke, her voice carried the weight of a story she had rehearsed many times. "My name is Nayeli," she began slowly, "daughter of a pony, healer of the Black Canyon Apache." Jake nodded. He had heard of the tribe, peaceful, skilled, proud. He had even helped one of their elders once after a horse accident. He hadn't thought about it since. Nayeli glanced at him. "My people remember what you did for us. Some wanted to repay you, but the winter came and with it sickness. Her throat tightened. Jake moved a little closer, listening. "Our children, they are not surviving," she whispered. "Many winters now, too many." She swallowed hard, but emotion cracked through. "The elders think our blood has grown weak from years of war, hunger, and fleeing soldiers. Bobbies are born too small, too fragile." Jake felt a heaviness settle on his chest. He knew hardship, but the pain in her eyes, that was something deeper. Nayeli continued, her voice steadier now. "The tribal council spoke of mixing blood with a strong outsider, someone whose spirit is unbroken, someone who shows kindness, not cruelty." Jake rubbed the back of his neck. "And you chose me." She nodded slowly. "Many white men ride these lands, but only you stopped to help an old Apache elder. You did not ask for payment, you did not speak with hate, you showed honor." She looked directly into his eyes again, and Jake felt something powerful pass between them. Respect, sincerity, something ancient. "When the council spoke of finding a white man for new life to begin," she said softly, "your name came to my mind, and would not leave." Jake swallowed hard. This wasn't just a request. This was a future placed in his hands. "I came alone," Nayeli added. "The council spoke of outsiders, but they never said it must be forced." She touched her chest. "My choice, my decision, my journey." Jake stared at the fire, the crackling wood echoing the storm inside him. "So you're telling me," he said slowly, "that you traveled here in the dead of night, risking being seen, arrested, or worse, because you think I can help save your tribe?" Nayeli nodded once firmly. "You saved one life," she whispered. "Now I ask you to save many." Jake felt his heart twist. This wasn't madness. This wasn't romance. This wasn't desire. This was survival. And she had chosen him. Jake Turner had always thought he was a simple man. A quiet life, a quiet ranch, and a quiet heart that never bothered anyone. But now, standing inside his small cabin with an Apache woman who had crossed the frozen desert just to reach him, suddenly, nothing felt simple anymore. Nayeli sat near the fire, letting the warmth sink into her bones. Her face softened, but her eyes stayed sharp, like a warrior waiting for his answer. Jake grabbed his old kettle, poured hot coffee into 2 tin mugs, and handed her one. She accepted it with a nod, lifting it carefully to her lips. He sat across from her, trying to find the right words. "You understand what you're asking, right?" he finally said. "You're asking for something that changes lives. Yours, mine, maybe your whole tribe's." Nayeli didn't look away. "Yes, I understand." Jake rubbed his temples. "And you're sure no one forced you? No council elder, no tribe leader?" "No one," she said firmly. "This is not an order, it is a plea. My people are running out of time. My sisters," she paused, her breath catching. "They try to smile, but they do not know if their bobbies will survive the winter." Jake felt guilt coil in his chest. A strange, unexplainable guilt, as if by refusing her, he would be allowing that suffering to continue. "But why me?" he asked again, quieter this time. Nayeli tilted her head slightly. "Because you have a good spirit. I felt it when I saw you help our elder. You lifted him onto your horse. You did not fear him. You did not hate him. You treated him like a man, not an enemy." Her voice grew softer. "Our people remember cruelty from settlers, but they remember kindness even more." Jake leaned back, exhaling slowly. He had never imagined that one small moment of decency could ripple into something this big. Nayeli continued, "I could have chosen someone younger, stronger, wealthier." She looked at him deeply. "But your heart is strong, your breath is steady, you carry no darkness inside." Jake felt heat rise in his chest, not embarrassment, but something close to gratitude. Nobody had spoken to him like that in years. Still, fear tugged at him. "Look," he said gently, "I'm not sure I'm the man you think I am. I'm no hero. I'm just a rancher trying to get through winters like everyone else. I don't even know if I'm someone meant to be a father." Naomi placed her cup down and leaned closer. "No man is born ready," she said softly. "My people say the river does not ask the stone if it is ready to be shaped." Jake blinked at the unexpected wisdom. She looked at him with quiet intensity. "I am not asking for love. I am not asking to own you. I only ask for life, a chance, a future." The cabin suddenly felt too small for the weight of her words. Jake looked at the fire, the orange glow flickering across her face. He saw strength in her, bravery, pain, hope. A woman who had walked through snow and darkness, not to demand anything but to ask. And something inside him whispered that maybe, just maybe, this wasn't a burden. Maybe it was a purpose. Jake swallowed hard. I need time to think." Naomi nodded, her posture calm, accepting. "I will wait," she said softly. But Jake had a sinking feeling that the storm outside wasn't half as powerful as the one forming inside his own heart. Jake Turner didn't sleep that night. While Naomi rested near the fire, wrapped in an extra blanket he had offered, Jake sat at the table with his elbows on his knees and his mind spinning like a dust storm. The snow raged outside, coating the windows in white. The wind groaned across the plains like a wounded animal. Nature itself seemed restless, just like him. He looked at Naomi. She slept lightly, like someone trained to wake at the slightest threat. Even in rest, her posture was poised, her breathing steady, her expression calm. Her features glowed in the firelight, strong, proud, the kind of beauty shaped by mountains, wind, and hardship. She wasn't fragile. She wasn't scared. And she wasn't asking him to rescue her. She was asking him to choose. By dawn, Jake still had no answer. When Naomi opened her eyes, she looked at him as if she already knew. "You did not sleep." Jake shook his head, not a wink. Naomi sat up, brushing her hair over her shoulder. "Your spirit is troubled." He laughed softly. "That's one way to put it." She waited patiently for him to speak. There was no pressure in her gaze, only sincerity. Jake finally sighed. "Naomi, what you're asking isn't small. If I say yes, your tribe might blame me. Settlers might blame you. The army might see this as rebellion. Your people could be in danger. You could be in danger." Naomi nodded. "I know, that is why I came secretly." "And if they find out?" She met his eyes firmly. "Then I will protect you." Jake blinked. The thought of her protecting him should have felt ironic. She was a woman, after all. But it didn't. Naomi carried the presence of a warrior. If she vowed to protect him, she meant it with every bone in her body. "But why risk all this?" Jake asked again, softer this time. Naomi took a deep breath, choosing her words carefully. "My tribe is dying, Jake Turner." She reached into her leather pouch and withdrew small objects, herbs, feathers, a carved wooden pendant, offerings. "I brought these to you as gifts, signs of peace." She placed them gently on the table. "If you refuse, I will leave with gratitude. I will not shame you or speak ill of you." Her eyes softened. "But if you accept, you will not just be helping me, you will be helping generations." Jake stared at the objects, symbols of her people, symbols of trust. "And what about you?" he asked quietly. "Do you want this truly?" Naomi's lips parted slightly. Emotion flickered across her face, vulnerability, honesty, hope. "I want life," she said finally. "I want to bring strength to my people. I want a child who carries the spirit of two worlds, not one divided by blood but united by honor." Jake's heart thudded painfully in his chest. "And why me?" he whispered. She moved closer, slowly, respectfully. Her presence was warm, grounding. "Because when I look at you," she murmured, "I see a man who has suffered but not grown cruel, a man who is alone but not bitter, a man who carries pain but still offers kindness." Her words hit him deeper than he expected. The storm outside began to quiet, but inside Jake, a different storm reached its peak. He stood and paced once, twice, breathing hard. Then he stopped and faced her. "If I say yes," he said, voice low, "we do this with respect. We do it as equals, not out of desperation but out of choice. Naomi's eyes warmed with relief and something gentler. That is all I ever hoped for. Jake exhaled deeply, a decision forming like sunrise over frozen land. The storm had passed, and so had his doubts. The storm outside faded into a gentle whisper, but the storm inside Jake Turner's heart had only just begun to settle. After hours of wrestling with doubts, fears, and responsibilities, something inside him shifted. Naomi's honesty had broken through walls he didn't even know he still carried. He finally spoke, and the weight of his own voice surprised him. "I don't want you to suffer, Naomi. Not you, not your people." She studied him quietly, as though trying to see the truth beneath his skin. The firelight made her eyes glow like polished obsidian, sharp, deep, alive. Jake moved closer to the hearth, adding another log to the fire. Sparks drifted upward like tiny stars. Naomi pulled her blanket around her shoulders again, though Jake could see she wasn't shivering from cold anymore. "What was your life like?" she asked suddenly. Jake blinked. "Mine." She nodded. "Yes, before this night, before me." Jake hesitated. No one ever asked about him, not in a way that sought truth, not in a way that cared. He sat down across from her, rubbing his hands together slowly. Quiet, empty. I worked, ate, slept, repeated. Some days I didn't speak a single word to another soul. I guess I just kept going because there was nothing else to do. Naomi tilted her head. "You have lost someone." Jake stiffened. "What makes you think that?" "The way you walk," she said gently. "The way you breathe. You carry an emptiness that only comes from losing a piece of yourself." Jake swallowed hard. He hadn't expected her to see through him so easily. "My mother died when I was young," he said after a long pause. "My pa drank himself into the ground. I worked the ranch alone since 16, got used to silence. Too used to it, maybe." Naomi's expression softened. "Silence is a heavy companion." Jake nodded faintly. "Sometimes, yeah." She moved closer to him, not invading, just sitting a little nearer. Her presence felt warm, grounding, almost like the fire itself. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The crackle of burning wood filled the cabin with a slow, soothing rhythm. Naomi's voice was quiet when she finally spoke. "My tribe knows loss too. We have buried more children than elders these past years. Our fires grow smaller, our stories grow shorter." She pressed a hand against her chest. "That is why I came, not just for the tribe but for myself. I want life. I want a future." Jake looked at her for a long moment. This wasn't a request of lust, or desperation, or recklessness. This was the plea of a woman who carried the weight of her entire people. He reached out, almost without thinking, and took her hand in his. Her skin was warm from the fire, her grip steady and unafraid. Naomi's breath caught slightly, but she didn't pull away. "You're brave," Jake whispered. "You're kind," she answered. A moment stretched between them, quiet, warm, unexpectedly intimate. Jake wasn't sure when the shift happened. Maybe during her story, maybe during his, maybe the moment their hands touched. But something changed inside him. He no longer felt like a man being asked for something impossible. He felt like a man being offered something he didn't know he needed. Naomi lifted her eyes to meet his. "Jake Turner," she murmured, "I did not choose you by accident." And for the first time in years, Jake believed he wasn't alone anymore. Dawn crept slowly across the frost-covered plains, casting a pale gold glow through the cracks of Jake Turner's cabin. Inside, everything felt different. The storm had passed, but the weight of the night's conversations lingered in the warm air. Jake hadn't fully realized it until that moment. Something in him had changed, permanently. Naomi sat quietly at the small wooden table, steam rising from the cup of herbal tea she brewed from her own pouch. Jake watched her from across the room. She looked calm, almost peaceful, but her eyes held a quiet intensity, as if she was bracing herself for whatever decision he would make. She didn't push. She didn't ask again. She simply waited, trusting him to come to his truth. Jake stepped closer, his boots soft against the wooden floor. "Naomi," he began, "I've thought about everything you told me, everything you're risking, everything you've lost." She looked up slowly, hands wrapped around her cup, and Jake inhaled deeply, gathering his courage. "And I realized hiding from life isn't living. I've been alone so long I forgot what purpose felt like. I forgot what it meant to be needed." Naomi's expression softened, her breath catching slightly. Jake continued, voice steady. "I can't promise perfection. I can't promise I'll be the man you imagine. But I can promise one thing, I won't let you fight this battle alone." Her eyes widened, hope flickering like a candle reigniting. "You mean?" Jake nodded. "Yes, Naomi. If my blood, my strength, my presence can help your tribe, then I won't refuse." She set her cup down slowly, almost reverently. "Thank you," she whispered. But the way she said it wasn't gratitude, it was relief. Deep, heartfelt, overwhelming relief. But Jake added gently, "This isn't just duty. I want respect, trust, and choice. I want to be part of whatever comes next, not just a name your elders picked." Naomi placed her hand over her heart. "You will be honored, not used, not taken." Her voice trembled for the first time. "I did not come to your door as a thief. I came as a woman searching for hope, and I found more than I expected." Jake felt something warm spread through his chest, unexpected but welcome. Naomi hesitated before speaking again. "May I ask why you agreed?" Jake thought for a long moment. "Because you didn't ask like someone desperate, you asked like someone brave, and because I haven't felt this kind of connection in years, maybe ever." Color touched her cheeks, faint but visible. "Then we begin as equals." "As equals," Jake agreed. A gentle silence settled over the room, no longer heavy but warm. Naomi reached out and rested her hand lightly on his. Jake didn't pull away. Instead, he closed his fingers around hers. Her hand, strong yet soft, felt like a bridge between two worlds that had never touched before. "Jake Turner," she murmured, "you have given my people a new path." "And you," Jake replied, voice low, "have given me a reason to stop running from myself." The morning sun finally broke across the horizon, illuminating the cabin in soft gold. Inside, two lives, once distant, once lonely, found a new beginning. Together, the next morning the air was crisp, carrying the earthy scent of thawing snow and distant cedar. Jake saddled his horse while Naomi tightened the leather straps of her travel pack. Neither spoke much. Their silence wasn't heavy anymore, just thoughtful. What lay ahead was too uncertain, too important, and too life-changing for careless words. Naomi stepped beside him, her long braided hair swaying with the wind. "My people will not harm you," she said quietly. "But they will test your spirit." Jake raised a brow. "Test how?" She shook her head gently. "Not with weapons, with eyes, with judgment, with the weight of our expectations." A faint smile touched her lips. The Apache look into a man's soul before they decide if he deserves a place among them. Jake swallowed, gripping the horse's reins. "Guess I better keep my soul cleaned up then." She laughed softly, the first light laugh he'd heard from her. It eased the tension between them. They set off. The journey was long, cutting across the snow-brushed plains and weaving through rocky valleys where red earth peeked beneath melting drifts. Jake rode while Naomi walked beside the horse, refusing his offer to ride. "A warrior walks on her own legs," she'd said simply. At first, Jake found the quiet unsettling. But slowly he understood. Silence for the Apache wasn't emptiness, but connection to the land itself. Midway through the trek, they stopped at a ridge overlooking the vast desert stretching toward the horizon. The snow thinned here, replaced by golden grasses swaying in the wind. Naomi pointed. "My people are beyond that ridge. By sundown, they will know we are coming." Jake felt a knot tighten in his chest. "Naeli," he said, "before we go any further, I need to ask." She turned to him, patient as always. "Ask." "Your father is the chief, right? What does he expect of me?" Naeli's face grew serious. "Chief Haska expects strength, honesty, and commitment. If you agree to be part of our future, you cannot walk away later, not when times grow hard, not when our tribes face enemies. You must stand with us." Jake took a deep breath. "Sounds like a lifetime." "It is," she said softly. "The Apache do not bind themselves with half-promises." Jake looked out over the sweeping land. A tribe, a future, responsibility he never asked for, yet somehow felt drawn to. "You still want me for this?" he asked. Naeli stepped closer, close enough that the warmth of her body contrasted sharply with the cold wind. "I chose you, not because of your skin, not because of your blood. I chose your spirit, and my father will see that in you too. I believe this with my whole heart." Her conviction struck him harder than any blow. She laid her hand on his chest, right over his heartbeat. "And whatever comes next, I stand with you." Jake placed his hand over hers. "Then I'll stand with you too." They continued downward toward the valley, the sun dipping low. The distant smoke of the Apache camp curled into the sky. Two worlds were about to collide. And only courage would decide the outcome. The sun had dipped low by the time Jake and Naeli reached the edge of the Apache Valley. Smoke curled upward from lodge fires, and the rhythmic beat of distant drums echoed through the canyon, steady, strong, like the heartbeat of a living nation. Jake slowed his steps. Naeli noticed. She touched his arm gently. "Do not fear, walk beside me, not behind." He nodded, inhaling deeply, and stepped forward with her. As they entered the camp, dozens of eyes turned toward them. Children paused their play, warriors straightened, elders whispered to one another. Jake felt every glance like a weight pressing on his shoulders. Some eyes were curious, others wary, and a few openly hostile. But Naeli walked tall, chin lifted, pride unshaken. Her presence shielded him more than she realized. A large group of warriors approached, led by a tall, broad man with a feather-streaked braid and sharp, commanding eyes. His presence was impossible to ignore. "Chief Haska." Naeli bowed her head respectfully. Jake followed her lead. Haska's voice broke the silence. "You returned to us with a white man." Naeli's tone was calm. "I return with the man who sheltered me during the storm, who defended me, who treated me with honor." Haska's gaze shifted to Jake. "You enter our land uninvited. Why?" Jake stood straighter. "Because your daughter asked me to come, and because," he took a breath, "because I care for her." A ripple of murmurs spread through the gathering crowd. Haska lifted a hand, silencing them instantly. His eyes narrowed, studying Jake not like a stranger, but like a judge weighing the truth inside a man. "You claim to care for her," the chief said. "Many men speak of caring, but words are wind. Why should I believe you?" Naeli stepped forward. "Father, he spent his last dollar to protect me. He gave me safety, food, warmth. He risked his reputation. He risked being accused of taking me by force. But he did none of those things. He honored me." Jake felt his chest tighten at the emotion in her voice. Haska circled him slowly. "You fear this place," the chief said. "Yet you came. A man who fears and still walks forward has courage." Jake swallowed. "I'm not here to take anything from your people. I'm here because she matters to me, and because she asked for a future." A beat of silence. Then Haska stopped in front of him. His expression softened, barely but enough. "Naeli has chosen you," he said. "If a daughter of mine chooses with a true heart, I will not stand in her way." The crowd gasped quietly. Haska raised his voice. "But if you join with her, you join with us. Her future is your future. Her burdens become your burdens. Her people become your people." Jake didn't hesitate. "I accept." Naeli's breath caught. Her eyes shone with relief and joy. Haska nodded once. Then tonight you will sit as a guest of our fire, and tomorrow we will bless your union. Naomi slipped her hand into Jake's. He squeezed gently, overwhelmed. The drums rose louder. Fires brightened the twilight. The tribe began to gather. A white cowboy and an Apache woman. Two worlds that were never meant to meet. Now stood side by side, bound not by tradition or expectation, but by choice, and by a love strong enough to bridge nations. The story ends, but their life together begins.